This is such an exciting time in this part of the discussion because we get to talk about all the really cool and powerful tools and just whole belief systems that we need to operate and incorporate in ourselves that allow us to be effective in any communication, in any relationship with anyone, anywhere. Business, home, with your kids, with your friends, with your spouse. As we want to build these relationships where we can be accused of being newlyweds for the rest of our lives, even if we're not newlyweds with the person we're having the relationship with, these are the tools. So let's dive into them.
I'm excited. This to me is probably my favorite part. Recognizing these tools and how to apply them is so freeing and liberating. You walk away when you have applied all of these principles and you think, wow, I did so good. You walk away feeling like, I handled that so well. Wow, you want to brag about how well you just handled an interface with your child or your teenager that was just yelling at you because they were so upset. And you handled it so good.
Right.
This
and
is
we're
my
going to
favorite.
be cheering you. We're going to be going, yay, clap, clap, clap. Okay, first one. Here we go.
Commitment to integrity. Okay, there are 4 parts to integrity. When you guys think about integrity, you think about honesty, then you think about integrity, and really they go hand in hand.
Right. And the thing we have to remember about integrity is that I am totally honest, recognizing that a lie is any communication given with the intent to deceive. Now, this is a funny one because people talk about, well, it's a white lie. Well, yeah, it happened. So they kind of fudge into it a little bit, which you think about that word. If they're going to fudge into a little bit and they're kind of, well, it wasn't really a lie. That just tells you right there. Yeah, they were crossing a line. For example, on a date, right? I'm supposed to be home at midnight and it's 12:30. Closer to 12:45, I come home and Dad says, you're late. Well, we had a flat tire and, it just took us longer to repair. And of course, this is back in the days where we don't have cell phones. And so because I had a flat tire, that's why we're late. Well, is it true that there was a flat tire? Well, yes. But the flat tire happened at 6:30 that evening. It was resolved long before I was supposed to be home, but I used it as the excuse, the lie, for why I was late.
To get Dad to believe something different occurred.
Right. That was my flaw. It wasn't true. And really, my commitment to Dad was to be home by midnight. And what I should have done, which is part of these steps, is I should have gotten released from my commitment in advance before that would have been the right thing to do.
Absolutely, because that is the second part, commitment to integrity. That is when you have a commitment, you must be released from them. How many of you have you ever thought about people in your life that you feel like constantly say, hey, let's go do this, let's go meet here at this time, and then they're always breaking that commitment? How do you feel?
Well,
what do you come to believe about that person?
Well, it's awful. You think you're not worth the time. When they say it, then you start thinking, oh, they're just saying it. They don't really mean it. And everything falls into question.
Right. You start beginning to wonder, well, they say that they're going to do this. I'm not going to believe it because they're not keeping their commitment. Now, when you say you have a commitment and you need to be released from it, that's just as simple as, let's say, you committed to watch your sister's children. Well, something comes up and you're like, oh my gosh, but I want to go with my girlfriends. We're going to end up going to New York. So at that point, you have a choice. One, you committed to your sister to watch her children that evening. So you either call her and you say, hey, look, Kristen, I know I've committed to your kids. This has come up. I have an opportunity to go to New York. That doesn't happen very often. Would you be okay if I had Whitney watch your children instead of me? I know I committed to that, but would you okay if I got somebody else?
Right. You're actually helping to fill the commitment, even if it's not you.
Yes, because I made a commitment to you and I need to keep that. Or I could then say, Do you have another sitter? I don't want to leave you without somebody. Do you have someone in mind? If not, I can think of someone.
Right. And that is the most validating thing. And really, people want to be helpful and supportive when you have enough courtesy to actually deal with it like a mature adult who loves and values and cares with the same respect you would hope and want for yourself. The other thing is, number 3, I search for truth and I align with it. It's one thing to know the truth, but if we're not aligning with it and putting our feet in motion with it, there's nothing worse, I think, than somebody saying, well, I want to, do this, and they have this grandiose something that they are wanting to aspire to, and they talk about it all the time, but their feet never walk the path. I mean, I don't know, maybe you have a different perception of what that should be.
When I think of searching for truth and aligning with it, I think of times that maybe I've had a disagreement with my husband and I walk in and I think he just responded negatively to one of the kids, and I instantly am triggered and I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Why would you even treat them like that? And he says, wait, what are you talking about? I wasn't even talking to the kids. I was mad because the dinner on the stove wasn't working out and I was hollering to the kids to come in and help me, but I was never mad at the kids. I was mad at the steak dinner. So at that point, I have to take information he just shared with me and I have to align with the truth that he then just shared, not just my perception of how I think he probably just made the kids feel and he just yelled at the kids and he's angry. Well, really, he was never mad at the kids. The kids come walking in the room and they're like, I didn't think Dad was mad. He's just having a hard time with dinner. Oh, well, I had a filter.
Right. But what if the kids did take it negatively? Then you have 3 people. You have 3 groups, right? And in the commitment to integrity and commitment to search for truth and align with it, the more all the individuals who are involved are willing to align with truth, the easier it is. Go back to the statement, I know you're not the bad guy and I'm not the bad guy, so whatever the bad guy is in the middle, let's get it out. That is the search for truth process. And anytime there's an argument going on, when both on opposite sides of the track, regardless of who they are, can see that and recognize it and start aligning with it, then repair comes. Then communication, real communication, meaningful, deep, and connecting stuff can come. But it's recognizing the good in both.
I think the other part that is so important is you take responsibility willingly for any problem that you have caused, and to one extent, make it right. I just accused my husband, and I wasn't very nice about it because I was triggered. And when I'm triggered, I have a chemical dump, and I'm not very nice. That's my bratty side that comes in, and I'm already ready to fight, and I'm all ready to pick an argument because I'm upset, and that chemical bath is going.
And you feel justified in it.
Oh, I am totally justified. But if I stop and rewind, realize I am having a chemical dump, I have to take ownership and responsibility for accusing him and being mad at him for something he never did. I perceived and saw that through a filter or just saw the whole thing wrong. But I think the beauty in that and with integrity and taking responsibility, we teach our children as parents, the more amount responsibility we take, they start taking responsibility too.
Right. In fact, one of the coolest and most amazing memories I have is with my dad. And I was young. I don't remember how old I was, but I was small enough that he could take me by the arm and march me down the hallway. And I'm like almost not touching the floor as he's marching me and paddling my butt down the hallway. And it was interesting because something had happened. I don't remember what it was, but Dad was sure that I had done it. And I tried to explain, Dad, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Yes, you did. And after, 5 or 6 times me denying it, and he was more sure than ever that I had done it and more frustrated that I wouldn't just admit it, he paddled my butt all the way down the hall as I barely touched the floor with every step into my room. And I climbed up the ladder at the foot of the bunk bed, crawled up on the bed, and I cried. And I wasn't crying so much because of the spanking, but I was in tears because he didn't believe me. Right? It didn't matter what I said. He didn't believe me. Well, I don't remember how long. It seemed like a lot of hours, but I was young. It may have only been 30, 45 minutes. Dad comes in, head down, comes to the side of the bed, and he says, "Kristen, I am so sorry." The individual who had done what he thought I had done fessed up. The truth came out. He couldn't take the spank back. And he says, "Kristen, I know I can't take the spank back, and I am so sorry. Please forgive me." Now he could have said in his head, "Well, she probably deserved it for the 15 other things that I never caught her for," which, I may have done. But he took responsibility for the whole problem, came in and apologized. And, here I am halfway through my life now. And as a young child, that is one of the most imprinted memories in my mind. A situation where he freaking spanked my butt down the hallway and at the same time came in, apologized with all the love, and I am drawn to him. It's frightening sometimes to think I have to own my mistake. But there is nothing more powerful than real and vulnerable and sincere. Now, you have to be careful because sometimes in the face of a very harsh, force mode, controlling individual, to do that, you put yourself at risk, right? Because they could come down on you in more hot ways and fired up than anything and accuse you of being weak and stupid and a whole bunch of stuff. But you still have to be true to you. You have to be true to the integrity. And I think that's the thing, the commitment to integrity. I'm totally honest, recognizing that a lie is anything done with the intent to deceive, that unless I'm released from my commitments, I must keep them, that I search for truth and I align with it, and that I take responsibility willingly for any problem I cause, and to the extent possible, make it right. Sometimes we physically don't have the ability to make it right, but we do our best.
And the great thing about that is the more responsibility one takes for his own actions, the higher their self-worth will rise. It is proven and it is shown.